Long Island medium Theresa Caputo has made a poor decision. After facing prolonged neglect and humiliation from her family, it appears her patience has ultimately been exhausted. She is departing from her familiar residence, cradling her young child. Tears accumulate in Theresa's eyes as she says goodbye, yet her heart brims with strength. She wept and implored her new spouse, "Take me with you. I am assured of my safety in your presence. My family has transformed into my worst adversary now. They have never comprehended my suffering. They are betrayers. I shall not depart from you again." This time, Theresa embarked on a quest for a new existence, a journey characterized by love, respect, and the restoration of her dignity. The atmosphere was laden with sentiment as Theresa Caputo stood at the entrance of the residence she previously valued. The Long Island medium, renowned for her ability to communicate with spirits, has now become estranged from those she considered her own. Her heart pounded within her chest as she surveyed the familiar walls that had once resonated with laughter, now devoid of sound and filled with anguish. Years of neglect had eroded her spirit. Experiencing humiliation from her loved ones has been a habitual occurrence. Initially, she opted to remain for the sake of family and the anticipation that circumstances may improve. However, with each passing day, it became increasingly evident that her sacrifices were unrecognized and her injuries unnoticed. Her formerly faithful family had become indifferent, even harsh. Theresa, once a source of inspiration for others, has started to lose her radiance. Holding her little child, she cast a final glance at the house that had become into a prison of memories. Her eyes glistened with uncried tears, yet her steps remained steadfast. Her decision was taken not from anger, but from necessity, from the profound affection she possessed for her offspring, and for her own benefit. Her new husband awaited by the car outside. A man who recognized her suffering and opted to love her despite it. A man indifferent to her notoriety, history, or burdens. He merely perceived Theresa, the female individual, the maternal figure, the combatant. She approached him, her breath trembling, and murmured through her tears, "Take me with you. I know I'm safe with you. My family has transformed into my worst adversary now. They have never comprehended my suffering. They are betrayers. I shall not abandon you again." Her spouse encircled her, and the infant in a safeguarding embrace. "I have you," he whispered. "From this point forward, it is solely us. You are secure. You have arrived home." As the vehicle departed from the driveway, Theresa refrained from glancing back. Theresa relocated to a new community distant from Long Island. In this place, others recognized her name, yet afforded her privacy. In this context, she was not merely a medium. She was a mother embarking on a new beginning, a woman reconstructing her life from the remnants. Gradually, she resumed reading, not only others but also herself. Her gift reemerged with more brilliance, untainted by uncertainty and sorrow. Clients approached her in mourning, and she responded with unparalleled sensitivity. However, on this occasion, she also commenced the restoration of her own spirit. Her offspring flourished. Her husband remained steadfast beside her, akin to an anchor amidst the tempest. Theresa gradually restored her dignity, strength, and joy. During an interview months later, she was inquired about the pivotal moment in her life. Theresa smiled gently, her gaze distant, yet devoid of sorrow. "The most challenging action I undertook was to distance myself from individuals I believed would perpetually support me. Occasionally, family transcends blood relations. It is defined by love. I selected love. I selected tranquility. I shall never lament that decision." Nonetheless, the day in Long Island was brisk and autumnal. The golden leaves fluttered in the wind as Helen and Richard Matthews waited anxiously in the inviting reading room of Theresa Caputo's home studio. They had viewed Long Island medium for years, but today was distinct. They were the ones pursuing answers. Their narrative was tragic. More than 20 years ago, their adolescent daughter, Emily, disappeared inexplicably during a family excursion to upstate New York. Despite years of seeking, Police investigations, private detectives, and numerous sleepless nights. Closure remained elusive. Emily's absence inflicted an enduring trauma on their hearts. Theresa entered the room with her distinctive tranquility and eccentric vitality. Her lengthy blonde hair accentuated her discerning smile. "Okay, spirit's already talkin'," she murmured, her fingers sliding lightly through the air. "I perceive a significant presence of a young woman," she states. "I've been anticipating this moment." Helen's eyes expanded in astonishment. Richard inclined his body forward in incredulity. "She is presenting a red bicycle to me. Did your daughter possess one?" Helen inhaled sharply. That was Emily's preferred choice. She utilized it for all her travels. Theresa acquiesced. "She is also presenting a locket, an item containing a photograph." Richard swiftly extracted a little silver locket from his pocket, his hands quivering. "This belonged to her. I carry it with me daily." Subsequently, Theresa uttered a statement that halted time. She instructs, "Advise them to examine the envelope. The image they discovered, that is indeed my true self." Helen and Richard exchanged shocked expressions. Merely 2 days earlier, they had obtained an anonymous envelope by postal service. Inside was a solitary photograph, a young woman who bore a remarkable resemblance to Emily, albeit older, developed, as though she had matured into a woman distant from her homeland. They had carried the photograph with them. Theresa grasped it delicately and shut her eyes. She states that this photograph was captured merely 2 years prior to her demise. She wishes to convey that she is now at rest and did not endure suffering. Tears ran down Helen's cheeks. Richard stifled his mouth, inundated with emotion. She claimed she was abducted, but she managed to flee. She resided behind an alias, fearful of returning. However, she consistently bore your affection with her. She states, "Mother, Father, I have never forgotten you. I observed you pray for me nightly." The room was silent, interrupted solely by the couple's subdued weeping. Furthermore, Theresa remarked, she states, "You may now release the anguish. I am perpetually by your side, particularly when you observe butterflies." At that very moment, a monarch butterfly flitted by the window. Helen rose, murmuring, "Thank you, Emily, thank you, for conveying this message to us." Upon exiting the reading, the burden of decades seems to dissipate. After years, Helen and Richard smiled amidst their sorrows. They discovered not merely a medium, but a miracle. Upon hearing the flutter of wings outside the window, they realized their daughter had finally returned home. Nonetheless, nearly 3 years had elapsed since Theresa Caputo, the esteemed Long Island medium, and her spouse Larry Caputo declared their separation. The decision, however distressing, was not abrupt. It had gradually developed, akin to an impending storm that neither party could longer disregard. For decades, they cohabited, established a family, and lived a life illuminated by the fervent spotlight of reality television. However, notoriety had altered circumstances. Theresa's ability to communicate with spirits garnered her national recognition, publishing contracts, tours, and a global fan base. Larry, previously her support, became to resemble a mere background character in the narrative of Theresa's life. "I have always loved Larry," Theresa stated in a poignant interview with Access. "We have ceased to be the individuals we were at the time of our marriage. That is acceptable." Following the separation, Theresa relocated to a more tranquil area of Long Island, distancing herself from the incessant commotion. She concentrated on her readings, assisting bereaved families in connecting with their deceased relatives. However, at night, when the cameras were absent and the spirits were quiet, she frequently realized her want for Larry, not as a spouse, but as a companion. One afternoon, Theresa was recording a private reading at a quaint bed and breakfast in Montauk when a strange occurrence transpired. A spirit manifested, but it was not intended for her customer. "This is intended for you," the client remarked, gesturing towards Theresa, astonished. "He is referring to a red scarf that you left in his vehicle." Theresa's breath became constricted in her throat. The crimson scarf was a gift she presented to Larry on their final anniversary together. She had misplaced it 1 month following their separation. The reading persisted, accompanied by further personal messages. It was evident that an individual from the opposing side was compelling her to attain closure regarding Larry. On a brisk autumn morning in New York City, the studio lights illuminated the stage of the Meredith Vieira show. The audience buzzed with enthusiasm, yet a profound sensation permeated the atmosphere: hope. Today's visitor was Theresa Caputo, the Long Island medium recognized for connecting the living with the deceased. Adorned in her characteristic high heels and voluminous blonde hair, Theresa approached her seat beside Meredith with assurance. The two women greeted each other, and following a succinct discussion about spiritual practices, Meredith urged Theresa to demonstrate her expertise. Theresa rose and inhaled deeply. "Understood. Text, I am being attracted to this area," she remarked, gesturing towards the left side of the audience. Her hand hovered as if influenced by an invisible force, akin to a compass drawn to magnetic north. "A father is advancing. He succumbed to a chest-related ailment. I am experiencing pressure in this situation." She struck her own chest. A woman in the second row inhaled sharply, her hand covering her lips. "My dear, could you please rise for me?" Theresa inquired softly. The woman rose gradually. She appeared to be in her mid-30s, with sparkling eyes. "That resembles my father. He succumbed to a myocardial infarction." With great abruptness, Theresa's gaze became gentler. "He is presenting a wrench to me. Did he engage in manual labor? Similar to a mechanic or something of that nature?" The woman proceeded to weep. "He worked as an automotive technician for 4 decades. Theresa acquiesced. "He states that you have been grappling with the decision to sell his truck. It is the blue one, correct?" The woman's knees almost gave way. "Affirmative. It remains in my driveway. I sit in it when I long for him." A silence enveloped the studio. Even Meredith appeared teary-eyed. Theresa beamed amiably. "He wishes to convey that he is present with you. He states, 'That remains my girl, positioned behind that wheel.' He expresses pride in your management of the burial, noting that you maintained family cohesion despite your internal turmoil." The woman wept openly, not in anguish, but as a release of long-held grief. He states, "Inform her that the roses blossomed regardless." "Does that hold any significance for you?" The woman acquiesced, quaking. "I cultivated roses in his remembrance. I doubted their survival over the winter. This April, they proliferated abundantly. I perceived that as an indication." "Indeed it was," Theresa remarked with a smile. "He is the individual who dispatched that signal. He desires for you to thrive, rather than merely exist. He indicates that you have been burdened by guilt. He informs me that you missed a phone call the night prior to his passing." The woman's visage contorted with sorrow. "Affirmative. I was fatigued. I allowed it to proceed to voicemail." Theresa advanced a step nearer. "Your father advises you to relinquish that matter. He did not call to bid farewell. He merely desired to hear your voice. And now he has." The audience was very emotional, and Meredith extended her hand to softly grasp the woman's shoulder. Theresa gently stated, "He desires you to operate the truck one final time, and then relinquish it. He asserts that you possess your own path to navigate, and he will accompany you in spirit." The woman nodded, tears streaming down her face, yet her shoulders noticeably rose, as though the burden of years had been alleviated in an instant. During the commercial break, the studio was silent, save for the subdued sniffles and the rustling of tissues. It was more than merely a reading. It constituted a form of healing. In that studio, on an ordinary morning, a father murmured through the veil, and his daughter finally perceived him. On a brisk autumn morning in Hicksville, New York, young Ava Russo had recently celebrated her 8th birthday. Her birthday coincided with a notable date, June 10th, the same as that of Theresa Caputo, the renowned Long Island medium. Ava's parents, aware of their daughter's fascination with spirits and the afterlife, organized a surprise visit to a live event featuring Theresa's readings. Ava was inherently sensitive, reserved, perceptive, and frequently absorbed in contemplation. However, there was an additional element as well. Ava had been perceiving her deceased grandparents since the age of 5. Initially, her parents dismissed it as mere fantasy. However, Ava recounted details she could not have reasonably known. Her grandfather's preferred fishing cap, her grandmother's bridal fragrance, and the narrative of the antique garden swing where her grandparents once sat. The audience vibrated with excitement as Theresa Caputo ascended the stage, adorned in her characteristic stilettos and voluminous blonde hair. She chuckled, gestured, and remarked, "The spirit is already manifesting, so prepare yourself." Ava occupied the third row, her petite legs dangling from the seat's edge. Theresa's gaze continually shifted towards her part. Ultimately, she halted. "A youthful vitality is drawing me in." "A youngster. Hold on, who among us is celebrating a birthday today?" Theresa inquired. Ava raised her hand hesitantly. "I do." Theresa exhibited a smile. "Wishing you a joyous birthday, my dear. What do you suppose? Today is also my birthday." The audience laughed amiably. Theresa's demeanor subsequently altered. She appeared emotionally charged and solemn. This child possesses a formidable energy. 2 maternal grandparents. They have been in her presence for an extended while. They assert that she communicates with them. Gasping resonated throughout the theater. Ava nodded gradually, grasping her mother's hand. Theresa gazed intently at Ava. "Your grandmother's name commenced with A.M., Margaret?" "Maggie." Ava's mother inhaled sharply. "Affirmative, Margaret." "She is presenting a red ribbon to me," Theresa stated. "Did she use it to tie her hair during your visits?" Ava's eyes brimmed with tears. "Affirmative. I witnessed her perform the act in my nightmares." "She asserts it was not a dream, dear." "You possess exceptional talent." Theresa rested her hand against her heart. "They have been providing you with guidance, ensuring your safety." Theresa subsequently raised her gaze once more. "Grandpa is the more reserved individual. He is presenting me with a fishing rod and, astonishingly, a deck swing." Ava's father suppressed his tears. "That is our former residence. That is the location where they once sat." Theresa exhibited a smile. "They express gratitude for being remembered." "Ava, it is asserted that your birthday transcends mere chronology. It constitutes a spiritual alignment. You were destined to be born today, to experience, to observe, to comprehend." Following the event, Theresa descended from the stage and knelt alongside Ava. "You are exceptional, child. Do not permit anyone to assert that you are not. What you perceive, what you experience, it is authentic." Ava embraced her. "I aspire to assist individuals as you do." Theresa murmured, "Then you are all ready." While posing for a photograph, Theresa presented Ava with a crystal pendant. "This will enhance your concentration. The spirit is perpetually with you." Greetings, esteemed viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Mina. I hope your day is going well. If you liked the video, please remember to subscribe to the channel.